The first snow after winter's arrival, the Grand Princess hosted a snow-viewing banquet. At the banquet, under the gaze of everyone, Fujiu Xianxia accepted the goodwill of Princess Jia. The plum blossom representing her affection was handed over, and he steadily took it in his hand, gently rubbing it with his fingertips. This small, lingering gesture stung my eyes. I took a deep breath, tightened the cloak around me, and turned to leave. The princess suddenly called out to me, "Miss Jiang." I paused mid-step and turned back to find the princess looking at me with a smile, a hint of challenge in her eyes. There were many noble ladies present, some sheltering from the snow in the pavilion, others admiring the flowers in the woods, all bustling about. I was originally hiding behind a tree, my white fur coat blending into the snowy landscape, thinking they hadn't noticed me. I suppose my hiding was too clumsy. I bowed respectfully and said, "Greetings, Princess." Princess Jia, dressed in a fiery red gown, descended the steps and walked toward me. Everyone's gaze followed along, including Fujiu Xianxia. His eyes met mine for just a brief moment in the air before he looked away. As if I were just an insignificant passerby, I lowered my eyes, the faint ache in my heart swelling as if it were about to burst through my chest. The princess stopped before me, her expression a mix of 3 parts innocence and 3 parts mischief. "Miss Jiang, since you and Jingyun are betrothed, does that mean we'll be family in the future, as the principal wife, and you as the concubine? I'll temporarily overlook the matter of you snatching my hairpin at Juobao Pavilion." Her tone was exceptionally magnanimous. My breath caught, and I instinctively glanced at Fujiu Xianxia. He just watched quietly, he didn't refute, not a single word. Jingyun was his courtesy name. Even I hadn't called him that many times. He had begged and coaxed me to call him that twice before. But I was too shy and said we could wait until after the wedding. But now, he and the princess, have they grown this close? My throat tightened, and I found it hard to breathe as my vision gradually blurred. Upon hearing this, the onlookers giggled and congratulated the princess. While subtly belittling me in every possible way, a noble lady spoke up, casting a disdainful glance at me. "The princess and the young marquis are truly a match made in heaven. Some people can't even be considered as mere green leaves at best, they're just a touchstone for the princess's love." Someone chimed in, "Exactly, with the young marquis's noble and distinguished bearing, only the princess is worthy of him. As for some people, they should stop daydreaming." Upon hearing this, Princess Jia was very pleased and rewarded many things. When she glanced at me out of the corner of her eye, it was a clear display of pride. She is the youngest daughter of the Grand Princess, deeply favored by His Majesty, able to get whatever she wants, and her temperament is quite domineering. Perhaps the only thing she could never obtain in this life is Fujiu Xianxia, because I have a marriage arrangement with Fujiu Xianxia, and we are deeply in love. The princess has caused me no end of trouble over this. Every time this happened, Fujiu Xianxia would appear to shield me. He protected me extremely well, but now, he just stood quietly on the steps, watching all of this coldly. The ridicule and mockery from the noble ladies were like a tidal wave, almost drowning me. Fujiu Xianxia finally moved. A glimmer of hope arose in my heart. He stepped forward, his expression calm, his dark eyes lingering on me for a moment before he spoke slowly in a deep, soothing voice. He said, "Though the snow is beautiful, the chill is penetrating. It would be better to go inside the hall and warm up." As he spoke, his gaze fell upon the princess, and he reached out to affectionately adjust her cloak. With a snap, the last glimmer of hope in my heart shattered completely, and endless darkness enveloped me. The surrounding noise seemed to amplify endlessly, leaving me dizzy and unsteady, on the verge of collapse. I saw the princess coquettishly pouting at him, linking her arm with his, and following him into the hall. The other noble ladies quickly followed suit. The palace maid closed the heavy palace doors. But the princess's delicate laughter and Fujiu Xianxia's doting voice could still be faintly heard from inside. Snowflakes began to drift down from the sky once more, and in the vast plum grove, I was the only one left. I tilted my head back and sniffled, as scattered snowflakes landed on my face and melted into water. Footsteps sounded behind me, and a red umbrella blocked my view, shielding me from the falling snow. Why are you crying? A gentle, jade-like voice came from behind. Tinged with a faint sense of helplessness, I turned around and saw a familiar fox fur cloak. This is the birthday gift I specially went to Duobao Pavilion to pick out half a month ago. It's Fujiu. I looked up at him, and he gazed at me with gentle eyes. All the grievances seemed to find an outlet at once, and tears fell uncontrollably. Fujiu sighed, then reached out and pulled me into his embrace. Wrapping me tightly in his fox fur cloak, I tried to push away, thinking such intimacy was improper, but Fujiu pressed his hand against my back, pulling me even closer into his chest. Cry if you need to, no one can see. In one sentence, it completely shattered my psyche. All manners and upbringing, I completely forgot, just wanting to cry my heart out. What did I do wrong? Why is he treating me like this? He wasn't like this before. I grabbed onto his clothes. The more I thought about it, the sadder I became, crying until I was nearly exhausted. All my sobs were muffled within the thick, wide cloak. Fujiu gently patted my back, comforting me as if I were a child. I'm sorry, I came back too late. His gentle voice was thick with self-reproach. Previously, Fujiu had been sent away by His Majesty and was gone for half a year. He had written to tell me he would return before my birthday. After a while, I managed to regain some composure and gave him a slight push. Fujiu released me. Feeling a bit better now, I looked up at him. My eyes blurred with tears. Fujiu gently wiped the tears from my face with his fingertips and sighed. I've told you before, he's not the right match for you. My heart tightened, and I instinctively grabbed his sleeve, looking at him for help. Brother, help me. Jiu Yuanxiao accepted the princess's affection. So our engagement is definitely going to be called off. I could never be a concubine. But the Jiu family's power far surpasses my own. And my father does not support breaking off the engagement. He intends for me to become a concubine. Therefore, I have no choice but to turn to Fujiu for help. Fujiu was fostered in my family when he was young, and I called him Brother Fu. Back then, he was solitary and gloomy, and only I dared to cling to him. But now, he has become the chief minister, a powerful official second only to the emperor, trusted by the emperor and enjoying boundless glory. A matter like breaking off an engagement could be resolved with just a word from him. Fujiu stared at me for a long while before slowly nodding. Good. I felt a wave of relief, took a step back, and bowed to Fujiu. Thank you. But before the bow could be completed, Fujiu grasped my arm. No need, I'll escort you out of the palace. I followed silently by Fujiu's side, his umbrella tilting toward me. For no reason, I glanced back at the palace not far away. The tightly shut palace doors had somehow opened a crack, and the corner of a robe flashed by, looking somewhat familiar. Fujiu suddenly spoke up. Don't worry, no one will see. They're all busy flattering young Marquis Jiu and the princess. I turned back and nodded silently. On the way home, Fujiu didn't say much. After returning home, the news of Jiu Yuanxiao and the princess's engagement spread, along with the scandal of my humiliation. Now, I have completely become the laughingstock of the capital. When my father found out, he flew into a rage and punished me with house arrest. My mother came to persuade me, urging me to humble myself and try to please the princess, so as to avoid walking on thin ice after marrying into the Marquis's household in the future. I didn't offer much defense on this matter. I waited anxiously for Fujiu's message, but unexpectedly, Jiu Yuanxiao came to me first. Chapter 2. Even if I die, I must die in the Marquis's mansion. After tidying myself up, I went to the main hall to see him. He was dressed in black, his expression displeased. Except for him, there was no one else. It seemed my parents had been sent away. My heart tightened, and I withdrew the foot I had just stepped out. The next moment, Jiu Yuanxiao's cold voice rang out. Since you're here, come in. In your own home, it's not like I can eat you. A sharp gaze shot straight over, separated by a door. That look felt tangible, tightly gripping my throat. Again, like this, taking a deep breath, I stepped inside and bowed properly. Young Marquis. Jiu Yuanxiao did not speak, elegantly sipping his tea, the steam curling up as he slowly raised his eyes to look at me. You want to break off the engagement? He spoke casually. with no hint of anger in his tone. But my palms were already damp with sweat. In that brief moment, my mind raced through countless thoughts as I carefully weighed my words. The young Marquis possesses the grace of a dragon and the elegance of a phoenix, and the princess is of such noble status that she is beyond reach. Given my humble background, I know I should not interfere, so, Jiu Yuanxiao cut me off. Jiang Wn. His dark pupils held an emotion I couldn't decipher. But the way he rubbed the teacup indicated that his mood had already reached its lowest point. With a soft tap, the teacup was placed back on the table, his voice carrying a faint hint of displeasure. Our marriage was arranged by our ancestors, and we have already exchanged the 8 characters and betrothal letters. How can you speak of breaking it off so casually? Upon hearing this, a trace of grievance welled up in my heart. So he knew this was an arrangement made by our ancestors. And he also knew we were about to be married. I took a deep breath, suppressing the ache in my heart, and slowly said, "Grandfather has promised me to be your lawful wife, and the princess is deeply in love with you. How will you choose, young Marquis?" As soon as the words fell, there was a sharp crack. Jiu Yuanxiao crushed the teacup in his hand, the tea mixed with blood, spilling all over the table. Jiang Wn. Hearing my name spoken from his lips sent a chill down my spine. And I couldn't help but take a step back. Jiu Yuanxiao's eyes were fixed on me, his gaze filled with deep affection and reluctance. But more than that, there was anger and hatred. He stood up abruptly, his imposing presence overwhelming me as his face darkened with fury. "Are you forcing me?" I gritted my teeth and met his aggressive gaze. "I wouldn't dare. I'm merely helping the young Marquis make a choice." As the words fell, the surroundings fell silent for a moment. Jiu Yuanxiao's initially slightly angry expression gradually twisted into something terrifying, the veins on his forehead throbbing, as if someone had stepped on his reverse scale. Fear gripped my heart, and I turned to run. Unexpectedly, Jiu Yuanxiao rushed over in 2 steps, grabbing my shoulder, the veins on the back of his hand bulging. The pain in my shoulder left me both shocked and furious. "What are you doing, young Marquis?" I wanted to push Jiu Yuanxiao away. But my strength was nothing in his eyes. Jiu Yuanxiao closed in on me, his eyes red with fury, gritting his teeth as he spoke. "What right do you have to make choices for me? Who do you think you are?" These words carried a hatred so thick it was impossible to ignore. "Tell me, what gives you the right to call off the engagement? Do you think you can provoke me and walk away unscathed? I'm telling you, it's impossible, Jiang Wan, even if it means being a concubine. You must marry into the Marquis's estate. This is what you owe me." I never imagined that the bright, cheerful young man who once watched lanterns and the moon with me could become so gloomy and furious overnight. As if he had become a completely different person, he had gone mad, and it seemed I had gone mad along with him. I retorted loudly, "What do I owe you, Jiu Yuanxiao? What do you say I owe you?" Tears uncontrollably streamed down my face as I glared back at him. "You were the one who promised me a lifetime, and you were also the one who sweetly courted the princess. You were the one who said you would give me the best in the world, and now you're the one asking me to be your concubine. Jiu Yuanxiao, tell me, what do I owe you? What heinous crime have I, Jiang Wn, committed to deserve such treatment from you?" Jiu Yuanxiao was momentarily stunned. In an instant, he erupted into a rage, shouting at me, "What you owe me, you could never repay in a lifetime, Jiang Wn. No matter what I do, you should accept it without complaint." He paused, as if remembering something, and revealed a mocking smile. "Do you think that by clinging to Fujiu, you can break off the engagement? Let me tell you, as long as I don't agree, the emperor will never allow the engagement to be called off. If you have any conscience at all, you should stay away from Fujiu, not sneak around hugging him behind everyone's back." I vaguely recalled the door that had closed and then opened a crack that day. So, he really did see it. If this gets out, wouldn't I be dragging Fujiu into trouble? He is so radiant and pure. If he were to be tarnished because of me, then I would truly be unforgivable. All my bravado vanished in that moment. Jiu Yuanxiao looked down at me from above, seeing that I had fallen silent. His expression grew even more furious. "Jiang Wn, you are not innocent. Don't give me that look as if you've suffered the greatest injustice. And don't even think about clinging to someone else. Even if you die, you must die in the Marquis's residence." After throwing down these words, which seemed to drip with blood, Jiyu Yuanxiao flicked his sleeve and left without a trace of mercy. I watched his retreating figure, staggered 2 steps, and fell to the ground. After the fear subsided, a deep sorrow washed over me. What do I owe him? I don't know when it started, but my heartfelt feelings were trampled and humiliated by him. What on earth do I owe him? Exhausted both mentally and physically, I returned to my room, collapsed on the bed, and wondered in a daze, when did it all begin? It seems like 3 months ago, during the autumn hunt. At that time, Jiyu Yuanxiao was riding on horseback, holding the reins in one hand and a bow and arrow in the other, smiling brightly at me. He said, "Wanwan, just wait, once I win the prize, I'll add it to the betrothal gifts and marry you in grand style." He freed a hand to gently touch my face, his eyes overflowing with affection. "I really wish I could marry you sooner. Why can't the wedding date be moved up? Those old-fashioned folks at the Marquis's estate are driving me mad." Back then, he was full of vigor, and his eyes and heart were entirely focused on me. Later, when danger struck in the forest and Princess Jiahe was kidnapped, he happened to witness it and was severely injured while trying to save her. After that, when he woke up, everything had changed. The young man who once loved and cherished me had become gloomy and irritable. I went to visit him, but his servant blocked me at the main gate, belittling my family's status as too low to be worthy of his master. Because of this, I was mocked by many noble ladies and commoners for a long time. Now that I think about it, if he hadn't given the order, how would the servant have dared? I didn't know why he refused to see me, but I still sent a peace offering of food, his favorite peach blossom pastries, which I had made with my own hands, but he only glanced at it, casually knocked it over, and let the vicious dogs snatch it away. He said he had changed his taste and no longer liked such overly sweet things. Looking back now, it wasn't that he didn't like peach blossom pastries, he just didn't like me. This situation lasted for a long time. Once, he sneaked into my boudoir in the middle of the night, questioning me frantically. He asked me why, whether my conscience was troubled, and if I had ever regretted it. It was all words I couldn't understand. That time, his terrifying appearance completely overshadowed the young man in my heart. I began to feel afraid, to feel fear, but a glimmer of hope still lingered in my heart. After all, we grew up together. Perhaps he was ill, perhaps, until he accepted the princess's affection. I am tired. This time, I really can't hold on any longer. Over a decade of friendship, if it's gone, then let it be gone. Jiyu Yuanxiao, what exactly do I owe you? This sleep was long, but it was far from restful. I had many bizarre and fantastical dreams, and fear made me break out in a cold sweat. In my dazed state, I heard many voices, my father, my mother, my maid. When I woke again, it felt like a lifetime had passed. "You're awake." Chapter 3. He took care of me personally. A gentle and warm voice came, followed by a dry, warm hand covering my forehead. I glanced sideways and saw Fujiu sitting by the bed. His robe was as white as snow, elegant and dignified. He withdrew his hand as if relieved. "The fever has subsided." I was momentarily stunned, not quite understanding the current situation. Fujiu took the initiative to explain. 3 days ago, you suddenly developed a high fever and have been in a deep sleep. The doctors were at a loss, so after hearing about it, I requested a royal physician to come. How are you feeling now, brother?" As soon as I opened my mouth, my voice came out hoarse, and my throat felt prickly and painful. Could I actually be sick? Have some water first. Fujiu helped me sit up, poured a glass of warm water, and brought it to my lips. I felt weak all over, leaning on his strength as I took small sips of water. He said, "It's just a Jiyu Yuanxiao, why torment yourself like this?" His tone was filled with such helplessness and pity. I paused, pushed the cup away, then struggled to sit up straight and turned to look at Fujiu. Fujiu was only 5 years old when he first arrived at the Jiang family, thin and withdrawn, and not many people in the household took a liking to him. However, he was so exceptionally good-looking that I decided he would be my brother at first sight, and I caused quite a few amusing incidents back then. Later, the Fu family came to take him back. when he was just 10 years old. Now, more than a decade has passed, although we have kept in touch, such intimate gestures are truly inappropriate. That day in the palace, I lost my mind for a moment. This time, I must not let him be implicated because of me again, now that I am still bound by a marriage contract, and the rumors outside are even more unpleasant. My brother should not have come to the Jiang family, and certainly not to my room. I looked at him with guilt upon hearing this. Fujiu showed a kind smile on his face. Since you call me brother, isn't it only right for a brother to take care of his sister? Don't overthink it. I still couldn't put my mind at ease. If the young Marquis saw it that day, word might spread and cause trouble for you. Brother, I know, it's fine. Fujiu had me lean against the headboard, naturally tucking the blanket around me as he said, "Take good care of yourself, and don't fall ill again. Breaking off the engagement is a bit troublesome, but I will make sure you get your wish." He stepped back a little and sat on the stool by the bed, his jade-like hand reaching for the medicine on the table. I reached out to take it, but instead, he brought the medicine close to his lips, gently blew on it, then scooped a spoonful and held it to my lips. He actually intended to feed me himself. I panicked, saying, "I can do it myself." Fujiu avoided my hand, his voice gentle. "Aren't you curious why the marriage hasn't been called off yet? Why, I originally thought this marriage would be easy to dissolve. Jiu Yuanxiao had long grown tired of me. Princess Yuanzhao didn't like me either, and with Fujiu's status as the chief minister, just a word in front of His Majesty should have resolved it smoothly. But I never expected that. After waiting and waiting, the one who came was Jiu Yuanxiao. Jiu Yuanxiao resents and hates me, yet he refuses to let me go. Why? Drink the medicine, and I'll tell you, with no other choice, I could only obediently open my mouth and swallow the extremely bitter medicine. Fujiu looked somewhat surprised. "You really have grown up, even taking medicine so obediently." I felt a bit embarrassed. I've already come of age. I really didn't like taking medicine before. It was so bitter, and I would vomit every time I took it. When I was little, my mother and the maids would coax me, and later, it was Fujiu who took over. And after that, it was Jiu. I collected my thoughts. "Can you tell me now, brother?" Fujiu looked at me with a gaze full of concern. "Then can you tell your brother first, why you can even swallow such bitter medicine now?" In that instant, my nose felt a bit sore, and I quickly avoided his gaze. "It's nothing, I just got used to it, that's all." Over the past 3 months, due to Jiu Yuanxiao's situation, I have been excessively worried and caught 2 colds. Taking medicine has almost become a daily routine. Gradually, I realized that it wasn't that I couldn't drink the medicine, it was just that in the past, someone had coaxed, pampered, and indulged me. Fujiu raised his hand and ruffled my hair, not bringing up the matter again. He slowly began. The marriage between the Jiang and Jiu families was arranged by the former Prime Minister and the old Marquis. Both of them once taught His Majesty, so it's not easy for His Majesty to intervene, especially since this marriage wasn't arranged by His Majesty. Moreover, Jiu Yuanxiao has sworn not to break off the engagement, and His Majesty is at a loss for the moment, only saying that the 2 families should discuss and resolve the matter themselves. As for Princess Jiahe, His Majesty said he would temporarily postpone arranging a marriage for her, waiting until you and Jiu Yuanxiao have reached a conclusion. The more I listened, the colder my heart grew. His Majesty's words essentially said nothing. They were merely symbolic, giving the Jiang family a bit of face. After all, my grandfather was the former Prime Minister and once taught His Majesty. If only that incident hadn't happened, how wonderful it would be. How could it have come to this, where everyone in the capital can trample on the Jiang family? Upon hearing this, Fujiu also sighed. Now, the Jiang family can only place their hopes on Qingchang, hoping he will be more sensible and not act so recklessly anymore. Jiang Qingchang, my own younger brother, was average in his studies and wholeheartedly devoted to martial arts, which led to a long-standing conflict with our parents. In the end, our father had him tied up and sent to the academy, where he was kept under watch to prevent any further trouble. The emperor has not yet issued an edict for the marriage, and your wedding date has not arrived. There is still time, and there will always be a way, trust me. I looked at him and slowly nodded. Now, I could only trust him. From now on, I won't be able to visit you easily. Take good care of yourself and get well soon. Understand, if anything comes up, have the maid come find me, or write me a letter. I nodded once more. Fujiu gave a few more instructions before finally getting up to leave. I watched his retreating figure and suddenly spoke up. Thank you, Brother Fu. Fujiu paused mid-step, turning back to look at me with a somewhat obscure expression in his eyes. Don't thank me so quickly, when I help you. It always comes with a condition. I'm not sure if it's just my imagination, but that last sentence seemed to carry a hint of something. When we were kids, Fujiu never helped me for free. The repayment he asked for was sometimes a sugar figurine, sometimes a grasshopper. What will he ask from me now? After thinking for a long time, I still couldn't figure out what Fujiu might want, so I simply stopped bothering to think about it. After all, he wouldn't put me in a difficult position. After Fujiu left, I called Chunye in to ask. What Chunye said was the same as what Fujiu had said, except that my mother had tactfully refused his idea of staying to take care of me. As it was ultimately inappropriate for men and women to be too close, Fujiu only said that it was to repay the kindness of being fostered back then. So I woke up, and he hurriedly left. Not long after, my parents came to see me. My mother held my hand, crying with heartache. My father's face darkened. Lost in thought, he suddenly asked me, Wanwan, how are things between you and the chief minister? What? I was taken aback. My mother also looked up at him. My father remained silent for a moment before saying, since you are unwilling to marry the young Marquis, what about the chief minister? I hastily interrupted him. Father, what do you take your daughter for? And what do you take Lord Fu, the chief minister, for? My father pursed his lips, looking at me with an extremely complicated expression. Jiang Wan, you are the legitimate daughter of the Jiang family. You should shoulder the responsibilities that come with being the legitimate daughter. Chapter 4, Kidnapping Someone to the Marquis's Mansion. I straightened my expression. I know why father has always insisted on me marrying into the Marquis's household, even as a concubine. Father, I understand all your worries and concerns. The Jiang family is in a difficult situation now. And it is only by relying on the marriage alliance with the Marquis's household that we have managed to hold on until today. You fear that once the engagement is broken off, the Jiang family will immediately be overwhelmed by the powerful families in the capital, and our name will vanish forever. That is why you want me to cling tightly to the young Marquis as a lifeline. But father, you have seen it too. The young Marquis and I have had over a decade of friendship. Yet hasn't it changed in an instant? He turned his back and is now about to marry Princess Jiahe. I have tried my best, but what humiliation did he bring upon me? He despises and resents me so much. What help could I possibly bring to the Jiang family by marrying into the Marquis's household? At this point, my mother patted my back, shedding silent tears. The bond between the young Marquis and me is already questionable, let alone the mere sibling-like affection between me and the chief minister from our youth. Now, the chief minister, remembering his time living with the Jiang family in the past, has always been lenient toward us. If father's proposal offends him and angers him, my father's expression had already begun to waver. I continued, when grandfather arranged this marriage, he promised me the position of principal wife. Now that the Jiang family has fallen, the Marquis's household is going back on their word, asking me to become a concubine. If the Jiang family remains silent in the face of such humiliation, won't we be completely looked down upon by the entire capital? Father, now that Qingchang has grown up, I will do everything in my power to work with him and restore the Jiang family's glory. These were the most words I had spoken to my father in the past 3 months. I had brought up breaking off the engagement before, and each time, my father would fly into a rage. Back then, I was both heartbroken and angry, and we ended up arguing fiercely back and forth. Now that I've let go, I can see things clearly. I also hope that father will stop forcing me. My father looked at me, pursed his lips, and remained silent for a long while. Finally, he sighed, forget it, let's wait and see. Only then did I breathe a sigh of relief. Thank you, father, for your understanding. Father turned and walked away, his back looking weathered. Mother squeezed my hand. Wanwan, your father was just worried about the Jiang family earlier. He didn't mean to misunderstand you. I nodded. I understand. It is said that after that incident, my grandfather passed away, and nearly half of the Jiang family's promising young talents perished. Father had two older brothers, one skilled in literature and the other in martial arts, both outstanding individuals, yet they also died in that turmoil. Only father remained as the sole survivor of the main branch of the clan. At that time, father was 14 and was forced to urgently take over the crumbling Jiang family. At that time, the aristocratic families that were friendly with the Jiang family were also affected, and for a long time afterward, no one dared to lend a helping hand. At that time, father was also treading on thin ice. Mother sighed and patted my hand, saying, "Come, lie down and focus on recovering from your illness first." Illness strikes like a mountain collapsing, but recovery is as slow as pulling silk. Coupled with the cold weather, my illness has lingered for a long time without showing signs of improvement. Fujiu sent a steady stream of tonics like flowing water, but seeing them only filled me with worry. Sure enough, rumors about him and me began to circulate outside. They call me a vixen, using sorcery to bewitch the aloof and ethereal chief minister, leaving him utterly infatuated. They say I am fickle and flirtatious, engaged to young Marquis Gu yet still seducing the chief minister. They also accuse me of being shameless, engaging in intimate acts with the chief minister right in the palace. All these rumors are about how I seduced Fujiu. When Chun Ya told me about these rumors, she was both angry and furious. "Miss, how dare they say such things about you? You clearly did nothing wrong." Upon hearing this, I actually felt a sense of relief. Fortunately, it was about me. It's not Fujiu. But then again, I started to worry. With my reputation as it is now, it will surely affect the reputation of the academy where I study. Chuanya, keep an eye on the young master's movements these next couple of days. Qingchang has always been impulsive. If he finds out, who knows what kind of scene he'll make. Just as she finished instructing Chun Ya, a commotion broke out outside. "Young Marquis, you cannot enter. This is our young lady's private chamber. Get out of my way." My heart skipped a beat. It was Jiu Yuanxiao. I gave Chun Ya a meaningful look, signaling her to go find my mother. As my father was not home today, Jiu Yuanxiao's aggressive approach surely meant no good. As soon as Chuanya ran away through the side door, Jiu Yuanxiao kicked open my door. I immediately closed my eyes and pretended to faint. The heavy footsteps drew closer as Jiu Yuanxiao approached the bed and reached out to feel my forehead. "Jiang Wn." He tentatively called out my name. Since falling ill, I have often had high fevers. I just took medicine and am now sweating. He must have felt that it was hot. Even without opening my eyes, I could still sense Jiu Yuanxiao's aggressive gaze. My hands, hidden under the blanket, clenched tightly as I prayed in my heart for my mother to come quickly. Jiu Yuanxiao seemed to have been staring at me all along, his hand resting on my forehead for a long time without withdrawing. Suddenly, his hand moved, gently stroking my cheek. Jiu Yuanxiao had practiced martial arts for years, and his fingertips carried a thin layer of calluses, which sent shivers down my spine. I heard him say, "Are you asleep, or have you fainted?" His voice carried a hint of mockery, as if he had seen through my clumsy acting, but I gritted my teeth and kept my eyes shut. The rumors about me and Fujiu had just started spreading, and he came storming in right after. He must have thought I was the one spreading those rumors and came to confront me. Jiu Yuanxiao let out a light, ambiguous scoff, and the hand caressing my cheek suddenly moved downward. It glided past my chin, as if exploring my neck. I was startled, thinking he intended to do something improper. Just as I was about to open my eyes, he grabbed the blanket, wrapped me up, and carried me outside. My mother finally arrived in a hurry. "Young Marquis, Wanwan is still ill. What are you doing? Although you two are engaged, this kind of behavior." Jiu Yuanxiao's cold and unyielding voice rang out. "Wanwan is seriously ill. I'm taking her to the Marquis's residence to recuperate, lest some people act inappropriately and tarnish her reputation." He was implying something. Could it be that he thought it was Fujiu who spread those rumors? My mother couldn't stop Jiu Yuanxiao, and in just a few words, He had already carried me out of the backyard. By then, the servants and maids had all arrived, trying to stop Jiyu Yuanxiao. But not one of them dared to truly stand in his way. If I were to wake up now, it would be too embarrassing, and who knows what kind of rumors would spread later. It would be better to keep pretending. Just like that, Jiyu Yuanxiao barged into the Jiang family, abducted me into the Marquis's estate, and took me into his own courtyard. After placing me on the bed, Jiyu Yuanxiao took a towel and gently wiped the sweat from my forehead. He seemed to sigh, very softly. After that, he summoned the imperial physician, who took my pulse again and prescribed medicine. At this moment, I can't help but feel somewhat relieved that I am genuinely ill. People came and went, and the surroundings suddenly fell silent, but I know Jiyu Yuanxiao is still here. The gaze fixed upon me feels as tangible as a physical presence. Suddenly, another hand fell on my face, caressing it gently with affection. Jiyu Yuanxiao let out a long sigh. Wanwan, why does it have to be you? I couldn't see his expression, but from the sound of his voice, he seemed to be in great pain and conflict. But what is he suffering from? The one being tormented is clearly me. Jiyu Yuanxiao sat by the bedside, holding my hand, his voice returning to its former tenderness. Wanwan, I truly love you deeply, whether in my past life or this one. Chapter 5. He was actually reborn. Jiyu Yuanxiao pressed his face against my hand, even kissing it, but the next second, his voice was filled with hatred. But why did you betray me? All 153 lives in the Marquis's household, not a single one survived. Wanwan, I loved you so much. When you lay beside me, were you loving me, or were you thinking about how to pass on the message? He spoke and then laughed. Wanwan, why? A few scalding teardrops fell on the back of my hand, and my heart was filled with terror. What on earth is he talking about? When did I betray him? When did the Marquis's estate? Jiyu Yuanxiao's voice choked with emotion. Heaven has eyes. I have been reborn and returned. This time, I will never let those people succeed, including you. Wanwan, do you know how I felt when I woke up and saw you? I wanted to kill you, to have you buried with the Marquis's estate, but when it really came time to act, I found I couldn't bring myself to do it. I just can't bring myself to do it. I'm so useless. I remember when Jiyu Yuanxiao woke up and saw me for the first time. Back then, I didn't understand the turbulent emotions in his eyes. I only sensed that he seemed unusually unfamiliar, and it frightened me. Now I understand, he wanted to kill me then. He hated me, Jiyu Yuanxiao added. I won't allow you to break off the engagement, and I won't give you a chance to betray me. I will keep you by my side forever. You can't even think of escaping. My breathing grew uncontrollably rapid, past and present, the destruction of my family. Betrayal, I think I understand now, beyond the shock. There was confusion. How could I possibly betray him? I urgently needed an answer, so I opened my eyes, looked at the sorrowful and distressed Jiyu Yuanxiao, and slowly spoke. Is this what you said I owe you? Jiyu Yuanxiao suddenly looked up, his eyes filled with shock. Then, overwhelming anger engulfed me. Jiang Wn, you pretended to faint to deceive me. His eyes were bloodshot, with a look that said, here we go again. I sat up and pressed further. You think I betrayed you in our past life, so now you're taking revenge on me, right? Jiyu Yuanxiao stared at me intently, not saying a word, the chill emanating from his entire body as if he wished he could kill me. I threw off the covers and stepped barefoot onto the cold floor. Seeing this, Jiyu Yuanxiao's gaze tightened. I approached him step by step, demanding, why would I betray you? Over the past decade, you should know my character best. Unless someone crosses an unforgivable line, I always leave some room for dignity. You used to say I was soft-hearted, didn't you? Even if you betray me now to marry the princess, I only want to break off our engagement. I have no intention of seeking revenge or destroying the entire Marquis's household, nor do I have the capability. I stepped forward, and Jiyu Yuanxiao retreated step by step. What could drive me to betray you and destroy the entire Marquis's household? Jiyu Yuanxiao, what have you done again? Jiyu Yuanxiao bumped into the screen behind him and stumbled slightly. I stopped 2 steps in front of him, looked up at him, and asked word by word, Jiyu Yuanxiao, what have you done again? Is it really all my fault? Jiyu Yuanxiao's breathing faltered for a moment. Don't twist my words. I took another step forward. Am I twisting your words? Or are you just feeling guilty? I refused to back down. You can't condemn me to death just because I don't remember my past life. After all, you, who once swore you'd marry no one but me, are now accepting the princess's affection. Jiyu Yuanxiao, are you really innocent? Jiyu Yuanxiao suddenly smiled, then firmly grasped my shoulders. Though he didn't use much force, it reminded me of how he had acted last time. But this time, I wasn't afraid. More than anything, I felt anger and resentment. He lowered his head and leaned in close, his voice nearly hoarse as he questioned me. What if it's because of that matter? My heart skipped a beat instantly. The matter concerning the former Prime Minister, my grandfather, had almost become a secret. No one knows why the Jiang family suffered such a disaster. And no one dares to mention it or ask about it. Even my father doesn't know why. Perhaps it's precisely because he didn't know that he survived. Jiyu Yuanxiao released me, returning to his usual aloof and superior demeanor. Jiang Wn, since you already know, I won't hide it from you. If you still want the Jiang family to be safe and sound, you'd better listen to me obediently and don't even think about calling off the engagement. I pursed my lips. I didn't know how much Jiyu Yuanxiao knew about that matter, and he certainly wouldn't tell me. Confronting him head-on now would only be detrimental to the Jiang family. Reluctantly, I chose to yield for the time being. I turned around and silently returned to bed to lie down. Jiyu Yuanxiao snorted coldly and left the room. Lying in bed, I thought about Jiyu Yuanxiao's words. Related to that matter, it could make me betray him and destroy the Marquis's estate. Could it be that the Marquis's household is the mastermind behind that incident? Otherwise, I can't think of any other reason. If it weren't for a deep-seated grudge, why would I have betrayed them? My mind is a jumble of thoughts, and I don't know what to do. The only thing to be thankful for is that I no longer hold any expectations for Jiyu Yuanxiao. Otherwise, at this moment, my heart would likely be twisted with unbearable sorrow. I let out a heavy sigh and closed my eyes to rest. Now that I know all this, I suppose Jiyu Yuanxiao won't easily let me go back. For now, I should focus on recovering from my illness. Only by recovering from illness can one have a chance to escape. Unexpectedly, 3 days later, Jiyu Yuanxiao stepped into the room with a gloomy expression. Jiang Wn, you really have some skills. The moment he spoke, it was through gritted teeth. I just looked at him without saying a word. Jiyu Yuanxiao took a few steps forward, grabbed my chin. It hurt. You really have a good brother. For your sake, he's been impeaching me for 3 consecutive days, demanding that I let you return to the Jiang family. My heart skipped a beat. I never expected it would be Fujiu. Jiyu Yuanxiao suddenly leaned close to me, his lips extremely near mine. Jiang Wn, Fujiu likes you, doesn't he? He hid it so well I actually never noticed. Tell me, if he knew you've already been with me, would he still help you as tirelessly as he does now? A flicker of terror rose in my heart. What are you planning to do? Jiyu Yuanxiao let out a meaningful chuckle, then pressed his lips heavily against mine, grinding and teasing. At the same time, he began to tear at my clothes. I panicked and resisted, but all my strength was like an ant trying to shake a tree in front of him. Fear brought tears to my eyes, and my body trembled uncontrollably. In the midst of shock and fear, a self-defense method that Jiyu Yuanxiao had once taught me came to mind. At that time, Princess Jiahe was jealous of me and made several attempts to harm me, both openly and secretly. Because the Grand Princess was protecting me, Jiyu Yuanxiao could do nothing about her. So, he taught me how to protect myself. Wanwan, you wear hairpins and hair ornaments every day. If someone tries to harm you again and I'm not around, don't be afraid, just remember this. He spoke with conviction and solemnly vowed, no matter what happens, I will never abandon you. You are the only one I will ever take as my wife in this lifetime. First, you need to make the villain let down his guard, then, secretly grip the hairpin, embrace him, and stab fiercely into his back. It must be swift, ruthless, and accurate. Even if you can't kill him with one strike, it can still buy you a moment of time to escape. Jiyu Yuanxiao had already pushed me onto the bed. In the panic, I felt the hairpin on my head. Chapter 6. You used the method I taught you to kill me. As I held Jiyu Yuanxiao with one arm and raised the hairpin high with the other, he seemed to sense something and suddenly looked up. In an instant, my descending hand was intercepted by him, and my wrist bone was nearly crushed by his grip. I held the hairpin tightly without letting go, my fingers turning white from the strain, still trying to drive it down. Jiyu Yuanxiao stared at me. His eyes filled with disbelief and fury. You used the method I taught you to kill me. As soon as he spoke, his voice was hoarse, as if his throat was blocked. I glared at him, not backing down in the slightest. I never expected that the first one to put it into practice would be you. Jiyu Yuanxiao's breathing became labored, as if this were something difficult to accept. His crimson eyes gradually grew wild, the hand gripping mine suddenly tightened, and I felt a sharp pain in my wrist. Immediately, my hand went limp, releasing the hairpin, and I could muster no strength at all. He was going to cripple my hand. In his rage, Jiyu Yuanxiao lost all reason and blurted out, I can't bear to kill you with my own hands, but I can let you die in bed. A rough kiss descended like a storm. This time, there was no escape for me. Jiyu Yuanxiao muttered as if he had lost his mind. You betrayed me first. I love and protect you, yet you betray me. Jiang Wn, this time, I won't let you off. Just as I thought I couldn't escape, a sharp cry suddenly rang out. Jiyu Jingyun, what are you doing? I suddenly opened my eyes. For the first time, I felt that the voice of Princess Jiahe was like heavenly music. Immediately after, a face filled with anger and charm appeared in my line of sight. She reached out to pull Jiyu Yuanxiao, but he pushed her away with a shove. Jiyu Yuanxiao roared, get out of here. The princess fell to the ground, looking at Jiyu Yuanxiao in disbelief. Two clear tears streaming down her face. Jiyu Yuanxiao, I am a princess. My mother is the eldest princess. My uncle is the emperor. How dare you treat me like this? Jiyu Yuanxiao seemed to regain a trace of reason. He closed his eyes, his jaw muscles bulging as if holding back. Finally, he moved away from me. I immediately scrambled to put on my clothes, but they were all torn, barely covering my body. Jiyu Yuanxiao took a deep breath, went to help the princess up, and softened his voice. Princess. I'm sorry. The princess glared at him angrily. No one has ever dared to push me before, not even you. And especially not for Jiang Wn. As she spoke, she shifted her gaze to me. Jiang Wn, how shameless can you be? You haven't even married into the family yet. And you're already trying to seduce Jingyun by offering yourself. What will you do once you're officially married? I lowered my eyes, neither humble nor arrogant. Your Highness is right. Why don't you ask His Majesty to issue an edict annulling my engagement to the young Marquis? Otherwise, once I enter the household, I will surely compete with you for the young Marquis's affection. After all, you know how much he used to like me. This was the first time I had ever spoken back to the princess, and the first time I had ever degraded myself in such a way. All of this was forced upon me by Jiyu Yuanxiao. Upon hearing this, the princess angrily scolded me. Jiyu Yuanxiao, on the other hand, stared at me without refuting my words. This only made the princess even more furious. At that moment, someone at the door reminded me that the Jiang family had come to pick me up. Hearing this, my anxious heart finally settled a little. The princess glared at me fiercely over Jiyu Yuanxiao's shoulder. Get out of here. How much longer do you plan to stay? I glanced at my current state. It would be entirely inappropriate to go out like this. The princess seemed to have noticed as well, speaking with a tone of schadenfreude. Now you're scared. I'm going to make sure everyone sees what a flirtatious woman you are. I warn you, no one is allowed to give her a change of clothes. Let her walk out just like this. After saying that, she looked at Jiyu Yuanxiao. What does Yunjing think? Jiyu Yuanxiao glanced at me coldly. Excellent. I gritted my teeth and did not move. Fujiu impeached Jiyu Yuanxiao, forcing him to let me go back. The content of the impeachment must have been about Jiyu Yuanxiao's issues, but if I were to go out now in disheveled clothes, even without the princess taking action, the rumors would naturally shift in Jiyu Yuanxiao's favor. What would follow would be doubts about Fujiu's impeachment. I quickly thought about what to do next. Footsteps sounded at the door once more, the person unseen but their voice heard first. Is the young Marquis still unwilling to release them? Fujiu, instantly. My eyes lit up, but soon, remembering my current appearance and situation, I only felt embarrassed. Wanwan, unexpectedly, it was my mother who came in. When she saw me, my mother's eyes instantly reddened. She swiftly draped the thick cloak over me, then turned her head and glared angrily at Jiu Yuanxiao. I recognized it was the fox fur coat I had chosen. Fujiu was outside the door. For a moment, my nose tingled with emotion. Young Marquis. You have taken Wanwan to the Marquis's residence under the guise of care, forbidding my Jiang family from visiting, and even going so far as to, my Jiang family may have declined, and we may not compare to the Marquis's residence, but the integrity of my Jiang family remains. This matter will not be left unresolved by the Jiang family. All the feigned composure and strength crumbled at this moment. My mother held me and walked out. Jiu Yuanxiao suddenly spoke up. Jiang Qingchang seems to be taking the imperial examination next year. Both my mother and I paused. My mother turned back. Young Marquis, your reach is truly long. I was frozen stiff, able to feel the person behind me watching. I knew this wasn't a threat to my mother. This was a warning to me. A warning not to speak carelessly when I returned. Otherwise Qingchang. A figure stepped through the doorway, tall and graceful as the moon and the gentle breeze. The matter of the imperial examination is not for the young Marquis to concern himself with. Fujiu's tone was calm, yet it deflected all of Jiu Yuanxiao's provocations. The two stared at each other, locked in a silent contest. I tightened my grip on my mother's hand and glanced at Fujiu. Let's go. Fujiu's gaze finally fell on me. But he quickly looked away, as if unable to bear the sight. Good. His voice carried a barely noticeable tremor. After leaving the Marquis's residence, my mother thanked Fujiu, and he responded with gentle courtesy. The Jiang family once took me in, and I regard Wanwan as a younger sister. It is only natural that I should help. This statement served as a response to the previous rumors. It was all about sibling affection, with no hint of impropriety. Afterwards, Fujiu watched as my mother and I boarded the carriage and departed. Inside the carriage, my mother looked at me and began to cry again. After a long while, she finally spoke. This marriage must be called off. Mother, I'm going to sleep for a while. Wake me when we get home. I closed my eyes, and the scenes from earlier uncontrollably flashed through my mind. My hands, hidden beneath my cloak, clenched tightly. Upon returning home, I heard that my father had rushed to the palace overnight. My mother stayed with me for half the night, and it was only when I pretended to be asleep that she finally left. I couldn't sleep, but I didn't want her to worry. Every time I close my eyes, all I see are those unbearable scenes, filled with a physical fear and disgust. I think, if Princess Jiahe hadn't happened to come at that moment, if Jiu Yuanxiao had truly wanted me dead, what should I have done? For the first time, my disgust for Jiu Yuanxiao reached its peak. He hates me. So he could just kill me outright, instead of saying he can't bring himself to do it, and then humiliating me in every way. Suddenly, the window lattice was knocked, followed by Wanwan. Chapter 7. He has always been like this. Under the moonlight, a figure was silhouetted against the window. It was Fujiu. I thought I should come, but if you don't want me here, I'll leave right away. The figure stood quietly outside the window, not overstepping in the slightest. I think he probably knew. After a long while, I didn't speak, and Fujiu didn't leave either. I heard the sound of the wind. It was probably going to snow. I said, I'm fine. You should go back. It's cold outside. The shadow didn't move, only saying, go to sleep. I didn't respond further, nor did I know what to say. Just staring at the figure on the window, he turned around, the wind tousling his hair. The wind outside seems quite strong. Unconsciously, I watched the shadows on the window and fell asleep. Those terrifying images did not invade again. When I woke up, the sun was already high in the sky. Chuanya said it snowed all night last night, and the wind was strong, so the corridor was completely covered in snow. I ran to the window, pushed it open, and saw a small grass-woven grasshopper placed on the windowsill. Below the windowsill, there was a pair of footprints. Fujiu had been watching over me the entire night. I had Chun Ya clear away the footprints so that no one else would see them. She has always been obedient and didn't ask any further questions. I looked at the small grass-woven cricket in my hand and finally tucked it away in my dressing table. After lunch, Chun-Yue told me about what had happened outside. The chief grand secretary has impeached the young marquis, and with the master entering the palace to see the emperor, bringing out the old master, the young marquis has now been ordered to reflect on his mistakes behind closed doors. As for the matter of breaking off the engagement, His Majesty did not mention it. I nodded. How is Qingchang doing? Earlier, the master ordered that these messages not reach the young master's ears, so he still doesn't know. That's good. I thought for a moment and said, prepare paper and a brush. I'll write a letter to the chief minister. Understood, miss. Regarding that matter, the only person I can think of right now who is willing to help me is Fujiu. I wrote a letter and had Chun-Yue personally deliver it to Fujiu's residence. Jiu Yuanxiao wouldn't trust me so easily. He would definitely have someone watching me. Without knowing who the spy is, I can't reveal anything. That letter was just an ordinary thank you note. But I think Fujiu should be able to understand. After resting at home for a few days, I noticed the sun was out, so I took Chun-Yue and the others out for a stroll, although wearing a veil. Some people still recognized Chun-Yue and pointed at me. I turned into a clothing store. After that, I changed into a maid's outfit and had my younger sister Chun-Yue dress up as me, continuing to stroll around the city, with the veil covering my face. Those who aren't particularly familiar with me wouldn't pay attention to my figure. Plus, with Chun-Yue showing her face, no one should notice me. I hurried to the pastry shop at the west end of the city. As soon as I entered, I spotted Fujiu's attendant. Without a word, he led me into the backyard. In the small courtyard, Fujiu was already waiting there. I finally breathed a sigh of relief. Seeing me like this, Fujiu couldn't help but find it a bit amusing. The first time doing something mischievous is always nerve-wracking. You'll get used to it with practice. I sat across from him, and he pushed the pastries on the table toward me. Freshly baked cloud puff pastries. Try them and see if you like them. I took a small bite of the cloud pastry I was holding and nodded, saying, I like it. Fujiu poured me another cup of floral tea and asked, what brings you to seek me out so discreetly? In the letter I sent to Fujiu, I mentioned the pastry shop and had Chun-Yue deliver some pastries along with it. Others might not know, but this pastry shop was actually opened by Fujiu. Though he doesn't have a sweet tooth himself, I don't usually give him sweets on ordinary days. He is thoughtful and will surely notice that I want to see him and arrange everything accordingly. Just as expected, I set down the cloud pastry and glanced around. Fujiu spoke up. Don't worry, Fengjian has already checked, there are no spies. I have something I'd like to ask my brother for help with. It seems this is no small matter. I nodded, Fujiu's eyes fixed on me as he leisurely took a sip of floral tea. Go ahead and tell me. I thought he didn't like this kind of tea. I didn't think much, just lowered my voice. I want to ask my brother to help me look into that matter from back then. Fujiu's eyes sharpened, carrying a hint of warning. Why? That glance made me feel completely exposed. The prepared script in my mind instantly fell apart, and I stumbled over my words. Unable to articulate anything coherent, Fujiu tapped the table twice with his index finger, and a sense of pressure instantly washed over me. Tell the truth. For a moment, I didn't know how to begin, nor did I know whether I should speak at all. Seeing my hesitation, Fujiu softened his tone. Then let me ask you, who is watching you? I pursed my lips. Young Marquis, is it related to that matter? I could only nod. Fujiu pondered slightly. Is it because of that matter that he has wronged you so much now? I thought for a moment and nodded. Fujiu spoke again, his voice turning slightly colder. Do you want to investigate because of him, or because of the Jiang family? Both. With just a single syllable, I sensed Fujiu's displeasure. But I didn't understand why he suddenly became unhappy. After staring at each other for a long moment, Fujiu sighed and said, let me rephrase, are you still not over Jiu Yuanxiao? I shook my head firmly. No. These two words seemed to please Fujiu. His brows and eyes relaxed, and his voice turned lazy. Since Wanwan asked personally, how could I, as your brother, not help? Then, his tone shifted as he coaxed, but what reward can Wanwan offer? I paused briefly and thought, whatever you want. As long as I have it, it's yours. Fujiu raised an eyebrow. Really, really? He looked at me, a faint smile shimmering in his eyes. Very well. After uttering a few cryptic words, Fujiu fell silent, seemingly quite fond of the floral tea here, and focused intently on savoring it. Seeing this, I couldn't help but speak up. Then I'll head back first. The young Marquis is keeping a close eye on me, and I'm afraid it's fine. He has no mind to watch you at the moment. Fujiu. I gave him something to keep him busy. Since Jiyu Yuanxiao is under house arrest, what else could he possibly be doing, no matter how much I asked? Fujiu remained silent. An hour later, after finishing the tea and snacks, I stood up to bid farewell to Fujiu. He pointed at Feng Jian and said, "Later, I'll have him disguise himself as a guard in your courtyard. If you need to find me in the future, you can just tell him directly. So you won't have to go through so much trouble." Given the special circumstances, I didn't refuse. However, I owe Fujiu more and more, and I'm afraid it will be difficult to repay in the future. On the way back, I learned from Feng Jian that since receiving my letter, Fujiu had been waiting here every day. I didn't specify which day I would be released, fearing it would be too obvious, but I never expected him to wait for me every day. For a moment, I remembered the night Fujiu kept watch for me outside the window. It seemed he had always been like this. I asked Feng Jian, what trouble did the chief minister cause for the young Marquis? However, Feng Jian remained tight-lipped. It was only a few days later that I learned that during this time, Princess Jiahe had been visiting the Marquis's estate every day, attempting to force a marriage with Jiyu Yuanxiao by creating a fait accompli, thereby pressuring His Majesty to issue the decree of marriage sooner. In the past, hearing such news would have saddened me a little, but now, my heart remains calm and undisturbed. I was just wondering, if that's the case, was Princess Jiahe's sudden intrusion that day also related to Fujiu? Chapter 8. Turning the tables and demanding an explanation. The next day, I heard that Jiyu Yuanxiao had been ambushed and beaten in a sack at the Marquis's residence the previous night, and a sudden wave of doubt arose in me. Jiyu Yuanxiao's martial arts skills were not weak, not to mention this happened at the Marquis's residence. How could he have been ambushed and beaten in a sack? A faint sense of unease began to stir within me. This unease solidified into reality when I saw Qing Chang. "What are you back for?" Qing Chang was originally overjoyed, but upon hearing me shout at him, he froze for a moment. Immediately after, he looked displeased. "Sister, I had no idea you suffered such a great injustice. You all kept it from me." He really knew. I grabbed Qing Chang's hand and asked, "Did you beat up the young Marquis?" Upon hearing this, Qing Chang raised his eyebrows high. "Sister is so clever, you guessed it right away. How dare he bully my sister? Does he really think the Jiang family has no one left?" Qing Chang's eyes sparkled as he looked at me, as if waiting for me to praise him. I angrily tapped his head. "You've caused trouble. Is Jiyu Yuanxiao someone so easily ambushed?" He must have noticed Qing Chang's intention and played along. Perhaps it was also him who sent someone to reveal the Jiang family's affairs to Qing Chang, as a warning to me. Next, I'm afraid they'll be bringing people to our doorstep to demand an explanation. My expression darkened. Seeing me like this, Qing Chang looked at me nervously. "Sister, have I caused trouble? But I'm sure no one saw me when I sneaked into the Marquis's residence. And Jiyu Yuanxiao didn't notice when I beat him up." I glared at him, not having time to explain, and simply pushed him out the door. "Hurry back to the academy. We'll discuss this when father returns. If anyone asks, just say." A panicked voice cut me off. "Miss, someone from the Marquis's residence is here." My heart sank. Seeing this, Qing Chang was about to leave. "I'll take responsibility for my own actions." I quickly grabbed him, wishing I could slap him to bring him to his senses. "Didn't you learn anything from all that studying? They set a trap, and you just walked right into it." "Jiang Qing Chang, you must return to the academy right now, immediately, at once. I don't care how you do it. Even if you have to crawl, you must crawl back. If anyone asks, you must insist that you never came back. Sister, hurry, go." No sooner had I sent Qing Chang out through the side door than Jiyu Yuanxiao's men arrived. "Miss Jiang, the young Marquis requests your presence." I took a deep breath and straightened my appearance. "Lead the way." In the main hall of the Jiang family, Jiyu Yuanxiao sat in the host's seat, his face gloomy and still bearing bruises. My parents sat below, their expressions not looking too good. Seeing me approach, my mother anxiously pulled me over to sit down. Jiyu Yuanxiao slowly raised his eyes, scanned the room, and then his gaze settled on my father. "One person is still missing." My father put on an apologetic smile. "My son studies at Shangfang Academy." Jiyu Yuanxiao raised an eyebrow. "Oh." Immediately after, he took a jade pendant from his sleeve and threw it on the ground with a thud. My heart instantly tightened. Jiyu Yuanxiao smiled and said, "I recall this is Jiang Qingchang's personal jade pendant, which he never parts with. He once boasted to me that it's a matching pair with his sister's, meant to bring peace and safety." As he spoke, Jiyu Yuanxiao's gaze fell upon me. Today in the mansion, I was attacked by a villain, and in the chaos, I managed to tear this jade pendant from his person. Is the Jiang family trying to shield Jiang Qingchang? A single, neither light nor heavy question pressed down on everyone present, making it hard to breathe. My father smiled insincerely. "Young Marquis, there must be some misunderstanding. My son has been at the academy all along. Perhaps someone stole his jade pendant and framed the Jiang family. Where's the evidence?" If the young Marquis doesn't believe it, you are welcome to search the Jiang residence. At the same time, send someone to the academy to see if my son has left. Jiyu Yuanxiao scoffed lightly. "Fine." My hand hidden in my sleeve clenched tightly. "Qingchang, you must not let your sister down." A quarter of an hour later, the search party came out and reported that Qingchang had not been found. An hour later, those who had gone to the academy returned. Following behind were Qingchang, covered in wounds, and another person. My internal alarm bells were ringing loudly. As soon as Qingchang arrived, he complained to father, "Dad, I don't want to study anymore. They all ganged up on me, and I couldn't take it, so I got into a fight with them." My father angrily slammed the table. "Nonsense." Suddenly, Qingchang noticed the jade pendant on the ground and let out a surprised her. He picked up the jade pendant and then pulled out an identical one from his own chest. "Sister, did you drop your jade pendant?" Not to mention our parents. Even I was shocked this time. I shook my head, my mind racing with countless thoughts, and immediately stood up, saying, "Young Marquis, you saw it too. Qingchang is innocent. Someone framed him." Qingchang looked at us with a puzzled expression. "What framing and false accusations? What are you talking about?" My mother explained the whole story to him, and he immediately jumped to his feet. "Which bastard is trying to frame me?" "Wait. No, young Marquis, you're going to marry the princess. Then what about my sister? Are you going to betray her?" All right. You all kept it from me, letting my sister suffer such a great injustice. Young Marquis, how has my sister wronged you that you would betray her like this?" He glared at Jiyu Yuanxiao with hatred, as if he were about to rush over and punch him the next second. My father quickly pulled him back. "Young Marquis has also seen that Qingchang is innocent." Jiyu Yuanxiao stood up, patting his robe twice. "Then it seems I have come to the wrong place. But Jiang Qingchang gathered a crowd to fight at the academy and should be punished." With a single, casual remark, he ended any possibility of Qingchang continuing his studies at Shangfang Academy, while other academies, due to Jiyu Yuanxiao's attitude, were unwilling to accept Qingchang. After everyone from the Marquis's household had left, my father angrily slapped Qingchang. "Look at what you've done." "That's just fine, I don't want to study anyway. I want to go, you unfilial son." My father chased Qingchang and beat him, and in the end, Qingchang was punished by kneeling in the ancestral hall. That night, I brought food to see him in the ancestral hall. He was kneeling there, all crooked and unsteady. "Sister, tell me, what happened?" Qingchang ate while feeling smug. "If I may say so, I'm quite clever. As soon as I went out, I realized the jade pendant was missing. I rushed all the way back to the academy and immediately put my skills to the test. I got into a fight. If the head of the academy asks, I'll just say they were bullying me, that I didn't want to study anymore, so I took revenge for every grievance and settled every score." "What's the deal with the jade pendant?" "An identical jade pendant couldn't be crafted in just an hour, And Qingchang isn't clever enough to think of making a fake one. It belongs to Xianxiao, the one who came back with me. I raised an eyebrow. Qingchang continued, at the academy, Xianxiao and I shared a room. His sister was frail, so after I mentioned that my jade pendant was for protection, he had someone make an identical replica. I never thought it would come in handy now. Hehe, this idea was his too. He's not much of a scholar, but he's full of clever tricks. We're very close, and he was worried the young Marquis wouldn't believe I never left the academy. So he insisted on coming back with me to vouch for me. I let out a sigh. It's fine. While Qingchang was in my courtyard, Feng Jian glanced at me twice, indicating that he could take Qingchang back, but I did not respond to him. I thought that in the future, Qingchang would have to shoulder the responsibilities of the Jiang family, so he couldn't be without any skills. It turned out that although he wasn't very bright, his martial arts skills were decent. Now, studying is no longer an option, perhaps. You could join the military. Chapter 9, It's my willingness, it has nothing to do with you. Qingchang, sister, he looked up at me. I pondered for a moment. Do you want to join the military? Qingchang instantly stopped eating, his eyes sparkling brightly. Are you afraid of hardship? He shook his head with great determination. No. I looked at him solemnly. All right, I will ask the chief minister to send you to the military camp, but you won't receive any special treatment. You'll have to start as a common soldier. Moreover, on the battlefield, swords and arrows are blind. If you're not careful, you could die. Qingchang immediately patted his chest and assured, I won't die. I will definitely become a great general and return triumphantly. He excitedly grabbed my hand and said, Sister, can you ask the chief minister to let Xianxiao come with me? He shook my hand and pleaded coquettishly. Please, sister, if Xianxiao comes with me this time. The academy will surely not want him back. Please, I beg you, the grand secretary likes you so much, he's sure to agree. Just talk to him about it. My heart skipped a beat. What nonsense are you talking? Qingchang looked puzzled. Isn't that true? When he was little, he only played with you at our house. Never with me. Oh, right. Father might not agree. The atmosphere in the hall suddenly became dispirited. I know, Father would definitely not agree. You just wait. After returning from the ancestral hall, I thought for a long time. I think the marriage with Jiu Yuanxiao is probably impossible to cancel now. Now, with constant delays, there are only 2 months left until the wedding. If I really have no choice but to marry into the Marquis's household, and if Jiu Yuanxiao truly intends to take revenge on the Jiang family, then at the very least, I must protect Qingchang. I cannot protect him in the capital, only by sending him away. Father disagreed. So I had no choice but to act first and report later. The next day, escorted by Feng Jian, I found Fujiu, first, to inquire about the progress of that investigation, and second, to beg him. Now, what Fujiu has done for me has already surpassed what is considered sibling affection. But I dare not think too deeply about it. In the study, Fujiu was bowing his head to handle official duties, quiet and reserved, like a painting. Hearing the sound, he didn't even look up. Coming, perfect timing. Help me grind the ink. I walked to his side and picked up the ink stick nearby. The room was extremely quiet. Only the faint sounds of grinding ink and turning pages could be heard. I don't know how much time had passed. But a wind rose outside the window, and snow drifted in. I went over to close the window, and when I turned back, I saw Fujiu staring at me with a faint, ambiguous smile. Wanwan, do you know what it means to close the door and shut the window in broad daylight? What? I'm just afraid the wind might blow on him. Fujiu beckoned to me with a finger, and I walked over. Suddenly, he grabbed my hand. I wanted to pull it back. Don't move, you've got ink on your hand. As he spoke, he carefully and gently wiped the ink off my little finger bit by bit. He said, what happens indoors should not be seen by others. He was responding to my previous remark. For no apparent reason, I suddenly felt my face grow hot, and the spot where his hand had touched me began to burn as well. After wiping away the ink stain, Fujiu did not let go of me. He slowly raised his eyes, his clear, light-colored pupils reflecting my nervous expression. What brings you here this time? Wanwan, I want to beg you, help Xianxia enter the military camp. As soon as he opened his mouth, he stumbled a bit. Fujiu curled his lips into a smile. Wanwan, you ask for too many things, but I haven't received any reward yet. What do you want? As soon as these words were spoken, Fujiu suddenly exerted force, pulling me into his embrace. I sat on his lap, my waist held firmly. In an instant, my heart pounded like a drum, and even my breathing grew heavier. Lord Chief Minister, sure. Fujiu's lips were by my ear, his warm breath sending shivers down my spine as he spoke. I wanted to pull away, but behind me was the solid wall of his chest. I wanted to flee, but my waist was held tightly in his embrace. I couldn't help but wonder if coming to find him this time was the right choice. A low, whine-like voice murmured in my ear, "Haven't you always called me Brother Fu?" The voice was like a bewitching charm, utterly captivating. Brother Fu. Only when I spoke did I realize my voice was tight, sticky, as if. This made me blush instantly. Fujiu chuckled softly, clearly pleased. Wanwan, I've been waiting for you to come find me. I was momentarily at a loss for words, my entire body stiffening. You know, when I help you, there's always a condition. Right now, you still have a chance, you can still refuse me. I think I understand now. After all these days, Fujiu couldn't have found nothing. He didn't tell me. He was just waiting for me to come to him on my own. For a moment, all sorts of signs and words flooded my mind. Father, how are things between you and the chief minister? Xianxia, Fujiu likes you, doesn't he? He's hidden it so well. Xianxia, the chief minister likes you so much. At this moment, if I still don't understand, then I am truly as foolish as a pig. The moment I turned my head, the tip of my nose brushed against Fujiu's chin, his entire body stiffened. I felt the hand around my waist tighten slightly. I immediately flustered and apologized. Sorry. Too close, it's too close. Fujiu's eyes darkened slightly. Have you made up your mind? I nodded, under Fujiu's gaze. I pried his hand open and slowly stood up. Fujiu's eyes never left me. I pursed my lips, my mind in turmoil. In the end, I still spoke up. I'm sorry. Fujiu's gaze grew colder inch by inch. Think carefully. The Jiang family cannot contend with the Marquis's household. I lowered my eyes. I know, but I looked up, staring straight into Fujiu's eyes. I don't want to take advantage of your feelings. If he sought the Jiang family or desired me, I could close my eyes and let him have his way. But what he wants is my joy. I know the taste of being hurt by the one you love. Since I cannot respond, it's better not to give any illusions. He is the moon, high above, pure and radiant. I cannot imagine what it would be like if the moon were to fall. He shouldn't have done that either. I let out a sigh. I will find another way to handle these matters. Thank you for your trouble during this time, Chief Minister. After bowing, I turned around. As I reached the doorway, I heard hurried footsteps behind me. Immediately after, I was pulled into a broad embrace. Fujiu held me, firmly pressing me into his arms. Don't do this, Wanwan. Don't treat me like this. He held me for a very, very long time. When he finally let go, I saw his eyes were bloodshot. Lord Chief Minister. He raised his hand and pressed it against my lips. Fujiu smiled, a bit pale. Wanwan, I don't ask for anything else, just that you give it a try. Give it a try, okay, try to accept him, try to see if you can fall in love with him, if possible. Let us stay together forever. If not, it is my own choice, and it has nothing to do with you. Hearing these words, my heart suddenly ached. Fujiu lowered his head, holding my face carefully. May I? Seeing this, my heart softened, as if bewitched. Okay, Chapter 10, Marry Me. Fujiu and I sat face to face and began to discuss the serious matter. It's not difficult for Xianxia to join the army. I can help you. But there's one thing you need to think carefully about, whether you should continue investigating. Fujiu told me about my grandfather and the old Marquis. Grandfather and the old Marquis were once classmates. At 18, grandfather achieved the top honors in the imperial examinations, while the old Marquis, also at 18, began his arduous journey in the military. At that time, grandfather was at the peak of his influence, achieving remarkable political accomplishments in the court, elevating the already thriving Jiang family to even greater heights. Several years later, the old Marquis successfully recaptured several cities and returned in glory. Both were enfeoffed as marquises and appointed as ministers. When they met again, they agreed upon a marriage alliance. However, when the children of both families were born, they were all sons, with no daughters in sight. Thus, this marriage agreement was passed down to the grandchildren's generation. But the good times did not last long, having been in politics for many years. The grandfather had made countless enemies. The old Marquis, after years of campaigning, had accumulated hidden injuries that turned into chronic illnesses. After the new emperor ascended the throne, both of them suddenly fell ill. It happened that at that time, a regional prince from another territory led troops to force his way into the palace. Immediately after, there was a counterattack from various factions. The old Marquis, with military power in hand, managed to protect the Marquis's estate. However, the Jiang family, known for their integrity through generations, ultimately could not withstand it. During that incident, after my grandfather entered the palace, he never came out again. Nearly half of the Jiang family's promising young talents were tragically killed in various places, and the rest fled in all directions. Afterwards, His Majesty claimed that my grandfather had died saving him. Preserving my grandfather's dignity, the once highly prominent Jiang family was reduced to only my father overnight. My father was the most ordinary and youngest of my grandfather's 3 children. He had thought that with his 2 older brothers around, he could live a carefree life, but unexpectedly, he was forced to grow up overnight and shoulder the responsibility of the crumbling Jiang family for the following decades. The Jiang family had to deal with the targeting and harassment from various noble families. I was born just as the Jiang family was about to fall. My father held me and went to the Marquis's residence, securing this marriage arrangement between me and Jiu Yuanxiao. It was also this marriage that has kept the Jiang family afloat until now. After saying this, Fujiu looked at me. You should be able to guess. I held my breath, momentarily unsure of how to respond. Yes, I guessed as much. The Jiang family does have some foundation. Could they truly not withstand the backlash from those noble families? Why did grandfather never return after entering the palace? The old Marquis was on good terms with grandfather. Why didn't he lend a hand at that time? I suppose this is what they call the art of imperial balance. Both my grandfather and the old Marquis held high positions. If they were to form a marriage alliance, wouldn't that place them above the imperial authority? An emperor would never allow such a thing to happen. My grandfather sacrificed his life to secure a glimmer of hope for the Jiang family. That's why Fujiu said to think carefully about whether to investigate further. Right now, I just feel dizzy and my head is pounding. What about the Marquis's estate? I drank 2 glasses of water to calm myself down and thought it over carefully. If, in my past life, I believed that the Marquis's estate had not offered help, leading to the current situation of the Jiang family, would I have come to resent Jiu Yuanxiao and the Marquis's estate because of it? To be fair, no. Even if I knew now, I would still not. Under imperial power, being able to protect oneself is already a great fortune. Even if there is hatred or resentment, it should be directed at that person. How could it possibly implicate the Marquis's household? Moreover, according to what Jiu Yuanxiao said, we were already married in our previous life. In such a situation, where we rise and fall together, why would I seek my own destruction? So why is Jiu Yuanxiao so adamant that I betrayed him? I'm feeling a bit restless. My thoughts are all jumbled up. Don't panic, I'm here. Fujiu pressed my hand, his gaze reassuring. There's one more thing. I looked at him, signaling him to continue. After the incident, the Marquis's household never handed over their military authority. The old Marquis has passed away. And Marquis Jiu is currently leading troops outside the capital. Only the young Marquis remains in the capital. Recently, His Majesty has been seeking me out frequently. He is growing impatient. My heart skipped a beat. Perhaps back then, during the incident, His Majesty intended to reclaim military authority, but the Marquis's household refused to surrender it, so now, His Majesty must be running out of patience. I suddenly realized that it was His Majesty who destroyed the Marquis's mansion in my previous life. What are your thoughts? Wanwan, Fujiu threw the question to me. Looking into his eyes, I immediately understood what he meant. He wants to use this information in exchange for the Marquis's household to withdraw from the marriage. I pursed my lips and thought for a moment, Brother Fu, don't you think it's strange that the young Marquis suddenly accepted the princess's affection? All the doubts have been explained. Jiyu Yuanxiao has been reborn and must know the emperor's thoughts, which is why he accepted the princess's affection and made a big show of it. First, to tie myself to the royal family, and second, if things don't work out, the princess can still serve as a hostage. No wonder His Majesty has been reluctant to issue the marriage decree, even though the princess has pleaded many times, even resorting to the scheme of forcing the issue. Fujiu looked at me and instantly understood my meaning. You think he knows? I nodded. So, this method won't work. Now, His Majesty already intends to eliminate the Jiyu family. Although Jiyu Yuanxiao has been reborn, it's still uncertain whether he can turn the situation around. If I marry into the Jiyu family, even the Jiang family won't be able to escape. This isn't just about my own future, but the lives of the entire Jiang family. I am anxious inside, but there's nothing I can do. Fujiu pondered briefly. There is another way, but it might require you to make some sacrifices. I looked at him eagerly. Please tell me, brother. Fujiu gazed at me and slowly uttered 2 words, marry me. I was taken aback. What did you say? He began to explain with reason and evidence. His Majesty intends to suppress the Marquis's estate. Now that you and Jiyu Yuanxiao have made such a mess, I can persuade His Majesty to grant you to me in marriage. While using Jiyu Yuanxiao's promiscuity as a pretext to reject his marriage to the princess, this way, the Jiang family's reputation will be preserved, and your father won't have to worry about having no one to support the Jiang family in the future. At the same time, it will serve as a lesson to the Marquis's estate, taking the opportunity to warn Jiyu Yuanxiao. However, the gossip about you in the capital will likely increase. I was just about to speak when Fujiu continued, don't worry. I won't force you. If in the future your heart doesn't belong to me, I will give you a divorce letter and let you go. Now, Qingchang is preparing to join the military camp. Although I won't give him any special treatment, I must at least ensure he returns alive. After all, the Jiang family has only him as their son. This was already a special privilege. I pursed my lips and remained silent, my heart feeling heavy. Seeing this, Fujiu smiled softly. You don't need to feel sorry for me. This is what I willingly choose. If I want you, I must be willing to pay, whether it's time, money, or power. If you feel uneasy or guilty, then, try to like me, to make it up to me. Mentioning compensation, my gaze wavered slightly, though my face is thin. I also know what a man wants from a woman as compensation. But, something seems off. Why does it feel like, after going around in circles, I've ended up back where I started? I clearly didn't want to take advantage of Fujiu's feelings for me, and I made that clear to him. So why does it seem like nothing has changed now? I looked at Fujiu, and when he looked back at me, there was a smile in his eyes. With no trace of calculation, I gritted my teeth and said, fine. I accept Brother Fu's favor, and in the future, I will do my utmost to repay it. Fujiu looked at me with a smile, remaining silent for a long time. Chapter 11, The Imperial Decree. Fujiu acted quickly, and within a few days, he had arranged for Qingchang to join the army. This matter was kept from my parents, so on the day Qingchang entered the military camp, only I went to see him off. He and Xianxia were dressed in plain, unremarkable clothes. At first, they were in high spirits, but the closer they got to the military camp, the more silent they became. My throat also choked up a little. Sister is waiting for you at home. Qingchang looked at me, his eyes reddening. Suddenly, he reached out and hugged me, his voice breaking into a sob as soon as he spoke. Sister, wait for me. When I become a great general, I'll return in glory. I promise no one will ever bully you again. And I'll make sure to teach that bastard Jiyu Yuanxiao a lesson he won't forget. Sister, I patted his back and said, all right, you're a grown man now, no more crying, hurry up and go. Or else Mom and Dad will find out and you won't be able to leave. Qingchang let go of me and nodded firmly. Xianxia beside him also had red eyes, but showed no trace of reluctance or fear. I glanced at him. Come back safely. Xianxia was taken aback, then nodded. Thank you, sister. This angered Qing Chang, who gave Xianxia's arm a hard punch. This is my elder sister. What are you calling her so casually? Isn't your elder sister also my elder sister? Why be so stingy? I watched as the two of them playfully entered the military camp. Fujiu said that the Northwest is currently at war with our dynasty, and they are most likely to be sent there, the Northwest, that desolate and barren land. Qing Chang, you must return safely. Unconsciously, tears have already streamed down my face. I wipe the tears from my face, turn around, and suddenly freeze. Jiyu Yuanxiao had arrived behind me at some point and was staring at me. The next second, Princess Jiahe bounced over to his side, linking her arm with his in an intimate manner. Following Jiyu Yuanxiao's gaze, she spotted me, and the smile on her face instantly vanished. Jiang Wn, why are you haunting us like a ghost? Did you deliberately find out about Yun Jing's whereabouts and follow us? Mitch, let me tell you, my uncle is about to arrange a marriage between me and Yun Jing. Just you wait and see how I'll deal with you in the future. The princess was smug. While Jiyu Yuanxiao just stared coldly at me. At that moment, everyone on the long street was watching us, whispering among themselves. Suddenly, a clear and refined voice came from the crowd. Oh, I wonder how Princess Jiahe intends to deal with my betrothed. Everyone turned to look, only to see a luxurious carriage approaching. Fujiu, dressed in purple, descended from the carriage unhurriedly. I noticed he was holding something in his hand. Fujiu walked up to me and, in front of everyone, took my hand. In an instant, I felt Jiyu Yuanxiao's gaze on me sharpen, sharp as a knife. Fujiu subtly stepped in front of me, blocking his line of sight. Only then did I let out a slight sigh of relief. Immediately, my attention was drawn to the bright yellow scroll in his hand. My heart suddenly began to pound wildly. Across from me, the princess frowned and asked, "What does the chief minister mean by this?" Fujiu curled his lips into a faint smile and slowly raised his hand. The gleaming imperial decree was particularly eye-catching. He said, "Your Majesty, seeing the young Marquis and Wanwan tormenting each other like this, couldn't bear it and has already issued an edict to annul the marriage agreement between the Jiang and Jiyu families. Since I was young, I have lived in the Jiang family and secretly developed feelings for Wanwan, which grew deep and strong. So, I asked His Majesty to grant us a marriage." As he said this, Fujiu lowered his gaze to look at me. With an exceptionally focused and affectionate expression, the surroundings were noisy and bustling, but I could no longer hear or see anything, only his appearance at this moment, eyes and brows entwined, a wish fulfilled. Before, he said he was worried I would be talked about by more people, so now, holding the imperial decree, he tells everyone that it was he who proposed, that it was he who admired me, shielding me from all the prying eyes with ill intentions. My eyes grew hot, and I felt the urge to cry. Fujiu took my hand and led me onto the carriage, then turned back to the princess and Jiyu Yuanxiao, saying, "I am in a hurry to deliver the imperial decree, so I must take my leave." The coachman shouted "Giddy up," and the horse trotted off toward the Jiang family. Suddenly, a chaotic noise erupted from behind, mixed with the princess's startled cry, "Yunjing!" I lifted the sedan curtain and saw Jiyu Yuanxiao kneeling on one knee. Spitting out a large mouthful of blood that stained the ground red, he stared straight at me, emotions churning in his eyes, which gradually turned red. Even from a distance, I could see his trembling back. He seemed to have noticed me watching him, trembling as he reached out toward me, but the next second, the carriage turned a corner, and I could no longer see the long street at all. Fujiu's voice came from above. "What?" Feeling sorry for him, it carried a hint of displeasure. I turned my head. "No, it's just that I feel it's quite laughable to have come to this point." I couldn't help but look up at Fujiu. "Brother Fu, if one day I were to betray you, what would you do?" Fujiu lowered his gaze, a subtle smile playing at the corner of his mouth. "You have to fall for me first before you can betray me." I pursed my lips and fell silent. Fujiu chuckled softly and continued, "If you ever betray me, it must be because I wasn't good enough. That wouldn't be your fault." The words, carried by the wind, whistled past my ears, stirring ripples in my heart. I couldn't help but press further. What if it's the kind of betrayal that led to the destruction of your family, Jiang Wn? For the first time, Fujiu called me by my full name. He stared into my eyes, word by word. I know what kind of person you are. If it ever came to that, it would be because I had done something wrong, or there was an irreconcilable enmity between us. I don't blame you either, I deserved it. At this moment, I truly felt Fujiu's affection for me. Are you really sure you won't hate me? Fujiu chuckled softly. What good would hating you do? Indeed, what good would hating me do? Fujiu was about to say something more when the coachman outside called out, Sir, we've arrived. They had already reached the entrance of the Jiang family's residence. My parents had already received the news and were waiting there. Fujiu helped me down from the carriage and then did not let go of my hand. A royal decree annulled my engagement to Jiu Yuanxiao and simultaneously bound me to Fujiu in marriage, and the wedding date was set for exactly 2 months later. Today was supposed to be the day father discovered that I had secretly allowed Qingchang to enlist in the army. I was prepared to be scolded when I returned home, but because of the imperial decree, the matter was temporarily set aside. Afterward, Fujiu and father had a conversation in the study. While mother pulled me back to my boudoir and chatted on about many things, it was clear that she was very happy. Father and mother kept Fujiu for dinner and then personally saw him off at the door. Fujiu glanced at me before leaving. I was somewhat puzzled. I had thought that what would follow would be my father scolding me for acting on my own and punishing me in the ancestral hall, but after waiting for a long time, he remained silent. I stole a glance. Father snorted coldly. The chief minister has already told me that it's good for Qingchang to go out and gain some experience. You should hurry back and prepare your wedding dress. You're about to get married, yet you still don't know how to be more composed. I'll go right away. Because of this imperial decree, the atmosphere in the Jiang family improved significantly. Chapter 12, The Wedding Day. The next day, I heard that Jiu Yuanxiao had caught a cold, and while the princess was taking care of him, the two of them became physically intimate. Now, this marriage, whether we like it or not, has to go ahead. When the news of the marriage came out, it just so happened to coincide with the original wedding date set by the Marquis's household. In other words, 2 months from now, Jiu Yuanxiao and I will each be getting married. This is quite dramatic. Since the engagement was set, Fujiu has been visiting the Jiang family frequently, and everything has been harmonious, but I know that beneath this peaceful surface, turbulent waves have long been stirring. I have a feeling that something will happen on the wedding day. Just as I was thinking this, my forehead was suddenly tapped. Fujiu sat down in front of me. What are you thinking about? So lost in thought. Nothing. Fujiu reached out and took the needle and thread from my hand. Don't embroider anymore, you're distracted, and you might hurt your hand. We can just call for an embroiderer later. I shook my head. Mother said that only when the bride personally embroiders her own veil will the marriage be happy and blessed. I had already finished embroidering it earlier, but now I don't want to use that one. It just doesn't feel fair to you. So I decided to embroider a new one. It'll be ready in a few days. After speaking, Fujiu did not respond to me for a long time. What happened? He suddenly pulled me into his arms, holding me so tightly that I could barely breathe. In my ear, his voice was low and hoarse. Wanwan, you also have expectations for this marriage, don't you? I could hear the caution in his tone. I raised my hand to hug him back. Yes, I'm looking forward to it. He treats me so well, I'm willing to give it a try. Fujiu released me, his clear eyes shimmering with light. He slowly lowered his head, drawing closer and closer to me. A light kiss lands at the corner of my lips, lingering for a long time. I even soften my breath, nervously clutching his clothes. Gradually, our breaths intertwine. The sewing kit on the table is knocked over, and the unfinished bridal veil crumples into a ball. By the time the long kiss ended, I was already breathless. Fujiu gently held me, soothingly patting my back. I leaned against his chest, my face flushed as red as a shrimp. He kissed my earlobe and then asked, "Can you tell me why you said those things in the carriage that day?" My body stiffened. I hadn't expected him to suddenly ask about this. Before I could speak, he said first, "It's okay if you don't want to talk about it." I thought for a moment, then still opened my mouth. I told him about Jiyu Yuanxiao's rebirth. After listening, Fujiu remained silent for a long time, just holding me. As I watched the sky outside the window gradually darken, I nudged him, signaling that it was time for him to leave. It was only then that Fujiu said, "I am not Jiyu Yuanxiao, so you don't need to worry," I softly replied with an watching him walk out of the Jiang family home. For a long time after that, nothing happened. Fujiu became increasingly busy, and even Jiyu Yuanxiao didn't come to cause me trouble. In the blink of an eye, the day of the wedding arrived. I felt uneasy, absent-minded all morning, with a constant sense that something major was about to happen. While getting ready, the wedding matron and the maids were suddenly knocked unconscious. The next second, my wrist was grabbed. "Come with me." Jiyu Yuanxiao was dressed in a red wedding robe, looking somewhat disheveled, but the look in his eyes as he gazed at me was filled with intense possessiveness. All the unease in my heart reached its peak at this moment. "Jiyu Yuanxiao, have you lost your mind?" He, who should have been picking up the princess, actually appeared here. His eyes were bloodshot. "You can hate me, resent me, but I can't just stand by and watch you marry someone else." Wanwan, Fujiu is not a good man. Back then, those rumors about you and him were spread on his orders. He had already sought the imperial decree but deliberately kept it from you. He intentionally had the princess cling to me just to get closer to you. Hearing these words, I was somewhat surprised in my heart. But I did not show it on my face. "So what? You cannot marry him. I have already discussed it with my father. Today, we will take advantage of the chaos to escape from Shangjing." Wanwan, come with me. Jiyu Yuanxiao looked at me with sincere eyes. If I was still a bit flustered just now, then at this moment, I have completely calmed down. "Jiyu Yuanxiao, escape on your own, while there's still a chance, while you can still save the Marquis's estate." Jiyu Yuanxiao's expression faltered. "You already know everything." I nodded. "So, don't drag me into this." He took an incredulous step back and released my hand. I looked at him and said, "From the very beginning, I've always believed I would never betray you. Go ahead and investigate. If you find anything, let me know, but that's all there is to it." This has always been a knot in my heart. Not untying it wouldn't be particularly painful, but it would always remain stuck there, in the end, between the Marquis's estate and me. Jiyu Yuanxiao chose the estate. Before leaving, he gave me a deep look and asked, "Have you fallen in love with Fujiu?" I did not answer him. After all, even I myself do not know. Jiyu Yuanxiao had just left when Fujiu arrived. Wanwan, I looked at him. "You've been hiding for a while, haven't you?" He smiled. "Not too long." Why didn't Wanwan answer his last question just now? I retorted. "Why did you let him go? After all, His Majesty wanted him dead, and Fujiu should obey His Majesty." Fujiu gazed in the direction Jiyu Yuanxiao had left, letting out a long sigh as he lowered his voice. "Marquis Jiyu has commanded a powerful army for many years, guarding the borderlands. No foreign tribes dared to invade. And although there were some murmurs of suspicion in the court, Marquis Jiyu never acted out of line. But in the previous life, the Marquis's household was destroyed, and Jiyu Yuanxiao died in the capital." Fujiu's voice carried a hint of regret. If Marquis Jiyu truly intended to rebel, he would have done so long ago. He dares not relinquish his military authority, likely because he knows the emperor is wary of him. Without his troops, he would likely meet the same fate as my grandfather, dying quietly and without a trace. By stationing troops at the border while keeping Jiyu Yuanxiao in the capital, he is essentially signaling to the emperor that he harbors no rebellious intentions. Jiyu Yuanxiao is essentially a hostage. "But Your Majesty, you don't seem to understand. What about you?" Fujiu, at a young age, has already risen to the position of chief minister, enjoying unparalleled glory. This reminds me of my grandfather. Upon hearing this, Fujiu raised his hand and gently touched my face. "Don't worry, I know my limits." "So, what Jiyu Yuanxiao said just now, did you really do all that?" Fujiu sighed and took my hand. "So, do you believe him or me?" After a moment of thought, I replied, "You." Fujiu's eyes flickered, and he leaned in to kiss me. His kiss was deep, and I was utterly defenseless against it. After a long moment, he finally released me. murmuring softly in my ear, "That is enough." Someone outside shouted, "The auspicious time is almost here. Go check if the groom has arrived." Fujiu pinched my cheek. "See you in a bit, my wife." He leaped out of the window, then, amidst the cheers of the crowd, he entered through the main gate to marry me. Although there was a small mishap during the grand wedding, fortunately, things went relatively smoothly afterward. While I was waiting for Fujiu in the bridal chamber, I heard about the princess's wedding. It was said that Princess Jiahe was taken hostage by Jade Romance, and the wedding banquet nearly turned into a funeral. Amidst the chaos, Jade Romance managed to escape. The emperor was furious and issued an order to vigorously search for Jade Romance's whereabouts. Kill without mercy. Chapter 13, the grand finale. Due to Jade Romance's incident, there were not many guests in the mansion, so Fujiu returned to the bridal chamber unusually early. The wedding matron and maids had already withdrawn. I sat on the wedding bed, feeling somewhat nervous. When the bridal veil was lifted, I saw Fujiu's dazzling smile. Before I could even speak, he pinched my chin and kissed me. My mind suddenly flashed back to the day before my wedding. When my mother came looking for me with a booklet, I pushed him away, and Fujiu released me, his crimson eyes filled with suppressed desire. "Sorry, I got a bit too excited for a moment and scared you." His voice was terribly hoarse. I shifted to the side, thinking about how to start the conversation. However, Fujiu seemed to sense my thoughts and said with a smile, "Don't be afraid, I won't force you." As he spoke, he pecked at the corner of my mouth. "Wanwan," I responded softly, but he said nothing more. After holding me for a long time, Fujiu finally got up and silently went to the water room. The whole night passed without incident, and I slept soundly, now that spring has arrived. Fujiu is very busy every day, and I can sense that something major is about to happen in the court. Qingchang writes back every month, sharing his experiences in the army and how many enemies he has killed. The days flowed by like a gentle stream. My interactions with Fujiu grew increasingly natural. After the summer, the emperor fell ill and did not recover for a long time, with the crown prince overseeing state affairs. During this period, Fujiu became even busier. Enter the palace at Maroa every day, return at Z hour. I hardly ever see him. That night, I waited for a long time and was almost asleep when I saw Fujiu return, covered in dust and travel-worn. "Why aren't you asleep yet?" I covered my mouth as I yawned. "I'll wait for you." Upon hearing this, Fujiu's gaze softened, and he came over to carry me to the bed. "There's been a lot going on lately, no need to wait for me on purpose." I tugged at his hand. "I know, every day. You enter the palace before I wake up and only return after I've fallen asleep. It must be truly exhausting." So I thought, you wouldn't have to travel back and forth. Aren't there places in the palace for visiting officials to rest? I was thinking of Fujiu's well-being, but his expression darkened, and he gritted his teeth, pinching my cheek hard. Without a word, he washed up and got into bed. By now, I had grown accustomed to sharing a bed with him. If it were any other time, Fujiu would have come to hold me after getting into bed, holding my hand as he fell asleep. But this time, he lay quietly on the outer side, eyes closed, as if he were already asleep. I suddenly felt something was off. Fujiu, ever since we married, I've stopped calling him brother. It always felt a bit improper. He wouldn't allow me to address him as Chief Grand Secretary either, saying it was too distant. So I've always just called him by his name. "Are you asleep?" "No." I turned to look at him. "What's wrong?" Fujiu turned his head, his gaze at me somewhat resentful. Suddenly, he turned over and pinned me down. "What are you doing?" I panicked for a moment. Fujiu covered my mouth, biting and nibbling as if in revenge. He said, "I've been working tirelessly, running back and forth between the palace and the mansion, all just to see you and hold you. You're so eager to push me away." He felt a hint of grievance. The longer we spent together, the more I realized that Fujiu wasn't as aloof and distant as he used to be. "He has quite a few little quirks," I coaxed helplessly. "Isn't this for your own good? If you don't want to, then don't stay. I'll wait for you every day." "Okay, good, Wanwan. Didn't you always love calling me Brother Fu before?" "Say it once, Brother Fu." In late autumn, the emperor passed away, and the crown prince ascended to the throne. During this time, Fujiu and the Crown Prince had frequent interactions, and I could roughly guess a little. The emperor's illness came suddenly. It wasn't until the depths of winter that Fujiu finally found some free time. We had been married for a year. Xianxia also wrote back, saying he was returning to the capital with the army and would be home soon, in time for the new year. Unexpectedly, Marquis Gu, who had not returned to the capital for over a decade, also came back. This time, Marquis Gu voluntarily surrendered his military authority and resigned from his official position. This was also the first time I had heard news of Gu Yuanxiao in over a year. He had now inherited the title and was serving as a minor general in the army, effectively shouldering the responsibilities of the marquisate. On the day Xianxia returned, he stormed into the marquis's residence and gave Gu Yuanxiao a fierce beating. Miraculously, he did not fight back. When I learned of this, I was skeptical. But who would have thought Xianxia would say, "He owes me his life." The military training had tempered Xianxia, making him more composed, but at home, he remained just as he always was. At this moment, he looks at me with smug satisfaction. "Sister, I've avenged you." Xianxia said that the northwest was plagued by frequent wars, and later Gu Yuanxiao also arrived, once, during a battle. Gu Yuanxiao made a mistake and nearly lost his life to the enemy. I was so heroic at that moment, putting aside past grievances, and I leaped forward to save him. I wanted to give him a beating to avenge you, sister, but the enemy was right in front of us. I looked at him with amusement. "Stop fooling around, let's eat." In the blink of an eye, the New Year celebrations came to an end. Xianxia was also about to return to the military camp. On the day I saw him off, I spotted Gu Yuanxiao from afar. He stood quietly in the snow, dressed in black, his gaze never leaving me. It seemed he had something to say to me, yet he dared not approach. Fujiu and I walked hand in hand, and after seeing Xianxia off, we returned home. Once home, Fujiu said to me, "I've always had someone keeping an eye on Gu Yuanxiao. The knot in your heart can now be untied." You didn't betray him. He misunderstood the situation himself. Fujiu said that after Gu Yuanxiao went to the borderlands, he had been investigating the events of his past life, and the one who caused the destruction of the Marquis's household in the past life was none other than Marquis Gu's trusted confidant. He stole Marquis Gu's military seal and handed it over to the previous emperor, which ultimately led to the destruction of the Marquis's household and Marquis Gu's failure to save Gu Yuanxiao. At that time, it was said that I discovered the spy in the mansion but was instead controlled, leading Gu Yuanxiao to believe we were in cahoots. While I was dealing with the spy, Gu Yuanxiao escaped, and in the end, I was also imprisoned. Gu Yuanxiao never came to rescue me, as he believed it was a trap. In the end, he did not escape the former emperor's pursuit, and I died in the secret prison. The day Gu Yuanxiao learned the truth happened to be the same day Xianxia saved him. Only then did I understand why he had been distracted on the battlefield. "How do you know all the details so clearly?" I asked Fujiu with confusion. He let out a light snort and did not answer. At that moment, someone came to report that young Master Gu had come to visit. I suddenly remembered what I had said to him on our wedding day. "From beginning to end, I have always believed that I would never betray you. Go ahead and investigate. If you find anything, let me know." But that's all there is to it. I suppose he came to tell me about this, but I already know. Fujiu directly refused. After that, Gu Yuanxiao came almost every day. The winter snow was heavy, so I sent Chun-Yue to tell him that I already knew, but he still wouldn't leave. He just asked Chun-Yue, "Can I see her once?" What would meeting her accomplish? Apologize? Repent? But what would any of that change? Now, I no longer need it. Regardless of wind or snow, Gu Yuanxiao came every day. To the point that rumors about him and me were spreading throughout the capital. That day, Chuanya said that Gu Yuanxiao had come again. "Madam, it's been over 10 days now, perhaps." Fujiu returned at that moment, giving Chun-Yue a cold glance. Chun-Yue immediately fell silent and withdrew. Fujiu pulled me into his arms and kissed the corner of my lips. "Madam, your husband is not very pleased." His kiss was filled with possession. "Wanwan, don't go see him, you're not allowed to see him." I wrapped my arms around his neck and responded to his kiss for the first time, carefully responding, trying to make him not worry. What's past is finally in the past. In the heat of passion, Fujiu asked me, "Do you love me, Wanwan?" I looked into his eyes and said, "I don't know, but I think I'm willing to spend my whole life with you, so it must be love. I love you too." Inside the room, the kiss was passionate. The person outside was covered in thick snow. Jiu Yuanxiao stared at the door that would never open, and finally, he could no longer hold on, vomiting a large mouthful of blood. Given a second chance, he had managed to protect the Marquis's estate, but he had lost the one he loved most. He thought, perhaps on the day of their wedding, he should have taken her hand and left without a second thought. Memories of the past flashed through his mind, and Jiu Yuanxiao chuckled foolishly. It was his fault. He didn't love her enough. Didn't trust her enough. This was his retribution. Jiu Yuanxiao looked up at the heavy snowfall, his thoughts drifting back to the snow-viewing banquet from a year ago. He thought that in this lifetime, he hated snow the most. I'm sorry, Wanwan. After hearing the story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.